Lazy E specific stuff we're going to be looking at this year.
So where are we gonna, since we're 2 weeks to the end of the fiscal year, where do you anticipate us ending up? Still the $6,000 to $8,000 left over to start the new fiscal year?
Something like that ish.
Okay.
But I think not quite that much, I think. But yeah, there's in terms of like the FY18 budget, yes, but there's going to be like with that increase in hotel motel tax, we'll have a carryover, a pretty healthy carryover to next year, I think.
Oh, okay. So budget-wise, 6,000 to 8,000.
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. But in the actual account, more. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Any questions on the financial status for Justin? Discussion of marketing plan for fiscal year 19. Justin, I think that's all yours.
At the end of last meeting, we talked about with the possibility of looking at those Lazy E events. We have our Lazy E contract that we've had for years now, and for the other Lazy E rodeos that have worked with us, we worked with them. It's been hey there, welcome. They've come to us with that event support form and applied for funding. We talked about looking at those as more of like similar to what we do with Lazy E. And so I talked with both Chris Neal, and I attached like one of their sponsorship pages there. The one that looked like it kind of made the most sense for us with he has the two rodeos, Future Stars and Rising Stars. What his dual event gold buckle sponsorship, which is at that $3,000 level, it encompasses what we already were getting with them in terms of name recognition for Guthrie, plus a little bit more. Some things that I think will have a little larger presence in terms of how they present Guthrie to their attendees year-round. I think it'll benefit us a little bit more than what it had benefited us in the past for about the same amount of money. Something that's a little bit different than what we've done previously with the High School Rodeo Association. Previously, we just had I think around $1,000 for the Border Bash, is what they called their rodeo. And talking with Jeff Todd, who's the president of the High School Rodeo Association, they have rodeos throughout the year, like 20 different rodeos. For us to be a what they call an Oklahoma Standard sponsor of $2,500, that puts us as a sponsor for all 20 of their rodeos across the state. That includes the Border Bash at Lazy E, as well as the other, the Fall Bash, I think. So 2 different rodeos at Lazy E, plus the rest of the rodeos around the state, including the state championships in Oklahoma City. And so we would be a sponsor for all of those at $2,500. And you can see on that page, included in your packet, on the back side of the OHSRA page looks like this. On the back side, with that Oklahoma Standard sponsorship, it lists out the different sponsorship opportunities that are included in that deal with them. Any questions about the Chris Neal sponsorship or the high school rodeo sponsorship?
So will they come back for, say, like the money for the EMS and stuff like that? Okay.
No.
It seemed that was more just for Guthrie.
Yeah, that like.
So would that fall in this category? That's what.
Yeah, that
my thing was.
This would like that $1,000 for EMS reimbursement.
Yeah, would go away.
That would go away.
That's that would be his baby then.
Yeah, we wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, so then it would cost us what, $2,500 you said a year?
Yes, if we went with that sponsorship level,
Okay, and it will cover other venues per se with them.
right, so,
Exposure.
so all 20 of those rodeos across the state would have, you know, a city of
Just one
Guthrie
standard.
banner. It says on here, where is it, like booth space at the state championship rodeo. I talked with Jeff, like, if we wanted to trade that out for, like, just make sure we have booth space at the Lazy E events instead of the state championship, we could do that, no problem.
So on these advertising sponsorships, are we gonna write contracts like we did with Lazy E?
I think we would have
We
something,
have-
it probably wouldn't be, you know,
Elaborate.
15 pages. I'm not sure that's quite
Yeah, but we
necessary,
would-
but we'd have something that would be signed between, you know, the city manager and
Them, okay.
them, yeah,
That's fine, okay.
for sure.
Okay, so do we have this, so is all this is a discussion for now, so we'll bring, can we, if you guys want to think about it, look at it, then I would say, let's put it back on the agenda in October when we have the full committee and make it an action item, since it's our new budget year.
Okay.
So with this, when will our calendar start? Is it January 1st, or say November 1st, or what? When would it start?
I'd like to hit the ground with, as soon as, you know, in October.
So do they have any events coming up in the next couple of months?
Yes, yeah. I think with both of those, I think.
Chris Neal, we know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm already
that's
working with
good.
Chris Neal, like, with the kind of the, you know, he's already getting logos from me to, like, you know, to hit the ground where we wouldn't be
Well, we
missing
haven't
anything.
approved it yet.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
can't get logos for.
Well, this is,
Oh,
I mean, it starts in August and goes to May, June.
Okay.
So I can see what you're saying, hit the ground running in October.
Yeah, and I think with, even though like their calendar, or you look at the high school or
The front
association.
of that page,
Yeah.
it just produces 20 regular season rodeos that begin in August.
Yeah, I think even though their rodeo calendar goes through that, I think that can be split to where it kind of fits
Okay.
our calendar, yeah.
So we can roll over into the next season.
That's my understanding, yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you guys how you wanted to do, like, so in October's meeting, would you be okay with voting on an entire marketing plan for the entire year that includes, Lazy E, Chris Neal, the High School Rodeo Association, Pollard sponsorship. I can talk with Richard with the Sports Museum, try to communicate with Little Britches just to kind of get an idea of like this. Here's our entire year, and vote on that for October so we can have the year's marketing plan, basically approved by the board for the year.
So then you would have something additionally for new events, or how would you do that?
Yeah, that would be a separate category. So this is just for like, sponsoring of.
What we know,
Yeah,
and see what balance we got left.
right. And when we,
I would be open to it as long as I can have at least a week to go over it before the meeting that we're voting. If
Okay.
that makes sense.
Sure.
Like at least, preferably 2 weeks. To
Yeah.
like read it.
For sure.
See if there's anything I would want to make notes on.
and for something like, I'm trying to think of, like, for Little Britches, for that rodeo, I can try to talk with them and see like what they could have to us before then. But since I haven't talked with her yet, I don't know how fast she can get it to us. So what we could do is like for that item, we could say, we're estimating that we would possibly sponsor at this, a 20, like in the budget, the tentative budget for the year, I have that down as 2,500 since that's what we did last year.
Okay.
So that could be like just a tentative, kind of placeholder for that summer.
Because they're not exactly the timeliest group, are they?
I don't know. I haven't like dealt with them from like a staff standpoint, so I don't know how that worked with Andrea in the past. So.
How did the Pollard sponsorship jump up to $4,150? I thought we were talking $3,000 last time.
Originally, the 3,000 was what I had just kind of like put it as a placeholder from previous years.
Okay.
And then what they sent to me for their corporate sponsorship level was a $5,000 corporate sponsorship. We've already bought an ad in their program that they're using now, and so they agreed to prorate that $5,000 sponsorship level to
okay.
$4,150 since we've
All right.
already we already have that program ad that's already there. And at the bottom of that FY19 marketing plan, the 15,000 at the bottom, that's what's kind of reserved at this point for digital, print, TV, whatever opportunities are available throughout the year. So.
I sort of agree with Caitlin, if you could get just like 2 weeks out so we could
Oh yeah.
sit down and read them all.
And I can try to have that. I'll do my best to have it even before then, just to give you.
I think it looks like a good plan. Anybody got any other questions for him?
Okay.
Well, Justin, you just got the whole show tonight, event support for fiscal year 2019.
So kind of like what we had started talking about last month with and so correct me if you have different opinions on this, but with what I've kind of been just calling like the legacy events, Christmas, 89ers, Red Brick Nights, fireworks, and bluegrass. Those seem to be kind of like the big kids in the room, basically, in terms of what we've been supporting regularly. And what I've been thinking about one day is really, I think some of you have expressed like opinions on this, but instead of having, those 5 events coming and submitting the event support, applications, what if we just say, okay, this is, as long as they, present certain, like, if we are supporting, like, the Christmas events, and they, as a sponsor for that, they say we're going to have you on the poster, involved your name recognition on commercials. But as long as that stuff happens, as long as
I like it. I think that as long as each legacy event board is, if we just have, even if it's just a 1-sheet expectation for the sponsorship
Sure.
level,
Mhm.
and then I would still like to see a post-event breakdown.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'd like to see if they can judge attendance or what, I
Right.
mean, or.
And not that that's like, if we don't like what we see, you don't get the money next year. I just
Yeah.
would like to know, like, how we're doing.
Okay, so they still need to have like a post-event breakdown, a 1-sheet of like sponsorship type, whatever that looks like.
And it could be different for each event as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, for sure.
The requirements are.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they could still do the event application
Mhm.
and answer those questions, but we are considering these 5 events are
Yeah.
Guthrie mainstays.
Yeah.
Right.
So unless something just goes wacko wrong with
Right.
it, we're gonna support them.
So what if the board for October's meeting just goes ahead and votes to approve funding for these 5 events
Well,
with those
for
stipulations?
89ers, did Leroy discuss how that last meeting went?
I heard stories, but I didn't.
So that I feel like is up in the air.
Yeah, I think we still might to approve them every quarterly, like
Yeah.
we're doing.
Okay.
Because, hey,
mean,
they might want additional monetary help. Which
Or they
come
might
back.
get none this year. I mean, it's really, it's all up in the
Schedule
air. I
Christmas,
haven't
say
heard any.
5,000. We think it's 5,000. They might need some additional amount, and they'll provide proof why they need it.
Okay.
And we just want to amend that when we come to that stage.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Well, to put it on the table, Legion made it very clear what I consider, community volunteers or city volunteers, non-Legion volunteers for the 89ers event. They made it very clear at the last meeting. Thanks for the help, but you don't get a say here. And that didn't go over well because about 85 to 90% of that event is put on by community and city volunteers. So that's what I mean by it's up in the air. Leroy wasn't happy, and none of us really were. So I don't know what, from the city level, they're gonna.
That's not
So
our.
just wanted to make sure that was on the table.
Well, let's
So really, we don't want to commit.
Yeah,
say.
so
I think
let's,
quarterly might be
let's
better.
continue the quarterly on the event sponsorship.
Something that I would like to kind of figure out though would be that the event support application really is written and geared to new events.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, because there is a question in there, is how many years have you asked for support?
And then that's so many points, yeah.
Don't you think that some of it's superfluous? Like we don't really need them to fill out.
Well,
it all
yeah,
every
but some
year?
of it, we wanted it because we wanted to see what, originally when we did it, we had so many groups coming to us
Yeah.
that we had to figure out a way how to score it.
Mm.
And it didn't work for us anyway.
It wasn't. And
It
it's,
didn't work.
and some of it's not working, but we learned that. But some of the questions on there are valid questions.
Well, maybe we can do a new form
Yeah.
that is specifically for the legacy group.
For the
That has those questions that you want to
Well,
continue.
we
I
gotta
don't
get
think we
working
can-
on it, because
Yeah.
it took us 6 months to get the last
Well,
one.
really, I don't think we need anything detailed in forms for these groups because we pretty well know what they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
You know, and what they're gonna do. It might be for, we might need to recreate the wheel for new events when they
Yeah.
come in. More than, I don't think anything for this. These guys.
And I think, like, from a budgetary sense, if we go with these numbers that are here, right, with the, Christmas 89ers, recognized fireworks,
Right.
that's based on previous experience and what Christmas has requested for this time around. So I think working off of those numbers, like that gives us about, somewhere in the $5,000 left for the
some
year,
new
for
event.
new things.
Okay.
So I think just, unless we want to require like all of those 5 to submit their applications for funding now, we kind of need to, if we do want to say we are supporting those 5.
Well, we've sort of told Bluegrass that already, haven't we?
Yes. And Territorial Christmas.
And Territorial Christmas, so they're off the board for now.
Yeah.
Do
I
we
mean, the
always
territorial
have
Christmas-
fireworks?
The Territorial
We did
Christmas.
last year.
The Territorial Christmas needs to be on there as an action item in October, though,
Okay.
Yes.
because we
That was well, I wasn't in here, but what was it?
we couldn't vote on it.
Right.
Because of the money,
Fiscal year.
because of the fiscal year.
So I think.
The others are all second and third quarter, so we can wait.
I would hate to jump the gun and say, hey, this is what you're
Yeah.
gonna get,
And if,
Sure,
and what if,
we need to.
and what if our hotel motel tax doesn't keep up at 18%, and we gotta
Well,
sit there and whack something off the budget?
sure. I think that's always going to be a caveat for everything that, CDB does is this is dependent on,
Okay.
what tax revenue looks like 7 months from now. I just want to, we just need to be mindful of, if over the next 2 months, we get, 10 different applications for funding, being mindful of, okay, we still have to look at, do we want to fund, these 9 different, it's not gonna happen, but if it just, hypothetically speaking, do we, being mindful of not allocating funds and then saying, oh, well, wow, we can really support, Bluegrass next October because we've
Well, are
already.
you aware of any new events that have kind contacted you at all, or?
In terms of the actual event applications that are come in, we have Jerry Casey has submitted one for the fairgrounds, like military rodeo stuff that he does. Tommy has submitted one for the wrestling events, and at the merchants meeting last week, Art with the Wisteria and Magnolia, thank you. He volunteered at the merchants meeting to organize, to kind of like reimagine and start again the Apples and Quilts Festival for next September or something. And I have no idea whether he would apply for it, but that's just
So what is
like-
Apples and Quilts?
I don't remember exactly. It was
But we have a
kind of-
poster about it in our vintage posters.
Do we have one?
Yeah.
We have a vintage poster in our office.
So it was a real thing.
Right.
So
It's a theme.
something like that, he's
Free
not
name.
gonna ask for too much money anyway, it's very,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Jerry Casey needs to bring us an event summary before he,
Yeah, I've left him some messages about that.
And I guess there are more events coming to Lazy Eve, which are driving more business to Guthrie than the people who have asked for money.
Sure,
To tell you the truth, and if they catch on, then they might come in and ask for money.
sure. And I think
But I think,
it's I think it's important for us to have those relationships with the lazy events. We just have to decide at what point do we say, okay, we've spent $18,000. Do we want to just become like a Lazy E support, department? And I think it would be easy to be that if
Yeah.
but yeah, not sure where I'll go with that. I don't know.
but I have found out where there is more events coming in, which is done good for my business and
Sure.
the town,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they haven't come here for any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
well, that's okay then.
Well,
Because they're coming to your hotel, which drives our budget,
yes.
so that's okay.
Okay, so in terms of action items for both the marketing and special event stuff, what are,
Yes, sir.
give me like some clarification. on
Okay,
what
so we
the-
need an action item on the marketing plan
Okay, as a whole.
as a whole. That, anyone disagree with that?
Okay.
And with hopefully copies of the agreements for each one
Okay.
in our hands a couple of weeks ahead of time.
Sure.
A week at least, but the
10
sooner,
days.
the sooner the better,
Yeah.
so that we can read them. On the sponsorships, get with Richard on his,
Yeah.
and we can make it an action item if we,
Okay.
unless someone disagrees with me, because his is just for what, signs?
Yeah.
And isn't he usually part of that, our sponsorship with him, doesn't it pay for the printing of the brochures?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Doesn't-
Yeah.
So he has our logo on there,
Yeah.
and I think he's pretty well open to whatever you want to put on there. so.
Yep.
Okay.
And then action items on any of the sponsorships that you can finalize.
Okay.
Then the sponsorship agreements with those guys or Little Britches. And then the Pollard. Now that may not be able to come up with agreements on all those in the next 30 days, but if you can at least make them action items, we can at least approve them.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We can approve them and get you going on contracts with those guys.
Okay. and how
Right?
about in terms of
Anything else for action items?
What about on the special event stuff?
Well, the first two are already, we need Territorial Christmas as an action item for October.
Right?
I mean, they've already made their presentation. And did we give Bluegrass their money in fiscal year 18 or? Okay.
18, yeah.
So they've got their money.
Right?
And then all that other stuff happens, what, second or third quarter of fiscal year 19, so we can sort of wait on 89ers.
Okay,
We can wait on Red Brick Nights, because that won't be until May.
correct.
Fireworks won't be till July.
The event support applications that are in, or that come in, I think the next, according to the application, the next round of, when they would come before the board would be November.
Okay.
November meeting.
How far are they off from the event? Let's see, because
Well,
your date's in a month from now.
he also has
Also have
an
an
April
in
event.
July,
Okay.
and we'll end up with about 4 to 5 events there this year.
And if, for the military veterans stuff at the fairgrounds,
When's
that's for like an entire year of things that he
That's
does.
right.
That's how
He
I did
needs,
mine.
he needs to be much more detailed this year.
That's how I did mine.
You can, because he was not very detailed last year, and I have not seen anything other than the 89ers event down there.
Yep.
And I think it's all we did was pay for his insurance, didn't we? For the arena.
I'd have to look back and see what it was actually, the funding was specifically towards, I don't know.
For the, I think for.
So he's got a new application right now.
Mhm.
How much did you ask?
2,500. Okay.
So those can wait till November,
Yep.
and we'll do those then. Okay, anything else? Anything else on marketing or event that you guys want on the agenda as action items? Really? All right.
All right.
Staff comments, even though you've been doing all the staffing and the commenting.
I'll continue the commenting.
Do you have anything else for us,
Justin
or Verlin?
We had a really big weekend this past weekend. It looked like the community fly-in day, even though that's more of like a Guthrie centric event, people seemed to it had a good turnout and people loved it.
The car show was crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning. These events, they kind of like pop up. I mean, not popping up. They've been
No,
popping forever.
they're yearly.
They're new to me.
But they're yearly.
Yeah, but they're new for me to experience as like a staff person now.
Yeah.
And like the car show, like
The Body Works one.
yeah, the flashbacks,
Yeah.
road show, car show at Mineral Wells, and these are things that we can do more like in the future to like say, okay, that's the kind of thing. These cars are blowing my mind, and like we can do a better job of like next year saying this can be an event we can attract people from other communities to come to because it's the coolest thing ever. But so that was Mineral Wells was full of folks for that. The
Airport.
fly-in was full of folks for that. Shalon did an amazing job with the community fly-in. Something that was super interesting that I didn't realize was going to happen with the MS 100 bike ride that has happened for a few years at Highland Park. They ride their bicycles from Norman to Guthrie. That's kind of the halfway points. And they have they take over Highland Park for their evening festivities there, and like helping with their coordinator kind of plan that out for the weekend. I had thought that they were all going to be camping there at Highland Park, and some of them did, but I didn't realize until yesterday morning that they took up at least 70 hotel rooms with all the hotels. Like a lot of the folks, I think, even though their plan is to camp out, they get here after riding 50 miles and they're like, look at that. Hotels. And so I talked with their coordinator this morning, just about 70 folks stayed in hotels, and they cater a big meal for the bicycle folks that night at Highland. And she said a ton of them were like, never mind, and they went to just Guthrie restaurants instead. And so I think that event is more is a bigger opportunity for hotels and restaurants than I kind of thought that it would be. So so we're learning which events we can have a bigger presence with to kind of like guide people to things. Even last week, the cross country meet that the high school puts on every year in Flats. I got there, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like so many people here from all over the state. Like, all these parents who show up to watch their kid from Shawnee, run, they're here all
But
morning.
it was pouring rain.
It didn't matter. Parents are crazy.
Have fun.
They called me, wanted me to go take pictures. I said, it's pouring rain.
You're like, absolutely not.
I'm gonna have my wheelchair. I thought,
Yeah, so next year we definitely will have like a some kind of booth out there because they were done by the last race
About
was
noon.
11:30ish,
Yeah.
and so then they release people to go eat lunch everywhere, and so we want to make sure they know like where to go to kind of
Oh,
experience
it's a
Guthrie.
huge,
Yeah.
it's-
So
Well, and it's because they also bring the junior high boys, junior high
Mhm.
girls, the junior varsity, and the varsity.
Yeah.
So there's like 6 or 7 races.
oh yeah,
Including Eli Fortney.
yeah. I think I
Huh?
got 14th
Including
place.
Eli
That's
Fortney.
pretty impressive.
You got a medal out of like
Ran.
400,000 7th grade boys.
That's okay.
14 is good.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
So did you get any pictures?
I got a few.
Oh.
Got one really good one of Eli.
That's all that counts.
Use that.
It was a gigantic muddy mess out there, so hopefully it recovers in time for Bluegrass.
Verla, anything for the group?
Well, I had fun on Saturday. I went to the MS 100 out there to look for a friend and met some great kids from Mustang. They brought a whole busload of kids from Mustang High School to be volunteers for the MS 100. They were fun to talk to. They threw the frisbee for my dog, and that was another thing that was good. The up dog with Fogas.
Yeah, what
friends of-
was that?
Well, it was neat, and I think it's like the first time for them to do
Yeah.
it here.
Yeah, it is the
But I
first time
can
we
see
did
that
it.
they can grow, because there are a lot of dog enthusiasts. But they used the Kiwanis field, and they had different, what they called games. So it wasn't really competition, at least not for me. My
Actually,
dog,
it was.
my dog had never been here. My dog was not competing. But she missed the frisbee 3 times, and when we went and sat down, and she caught it 3 times. So, anyway.
Did you ever brand her after the first 3 like you're a bad dog?
No, she's
We
always
said it,
good.
Elise.
So, but it was, it brought in, I talked to people from different places as well as the local, it's called Twister, I think, the lady, I forgot her name, but she has a place.
Cass Broussard.
Thank you, I'm glad you know about it.
I'm part of it. So.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, I
so
see that
is
growing.
it just a meetup for people with their dogs to play together, or is it an
No,
actual
it's-
structured like
it's very
games?
structured.
That's neat.
They have like
Mark.
registration
Go ahead,
fees to your
Registration
dog.
fees, we marked out the fields. There's we didn't have a lot of applicants this year because it ended up being on the same time as the national championships. So
Oh, okay.
we didn't know that going into it, but it still did really well. We're gonna do it again next year. We go out and mark the field, and like you said, just your regular dog. I decided mine was too dumb to take the frisbee. I threw it, and he looked at me like,
You gonna get it now.
But I think it brought in a pretty good amount.
It did.
for
It did
small
really
group.
well, and then it's
So it's a dog show for dogs that are not
It's not
professionally
even a
trained
show.
to be a dog.
Actually, no. There's
Well,
a, there's a professional.
Yes.
There's a
You can see the
professional group
difference.
too. So you see the people doing the frisbee tricks with their dogs between their legs. Yeah,
It's kind of like dog Olympics.
it kind of is. And then
Yeah.
they let and then you have the Special Olympics for our normal dogs.
I would love that to be promoted more. I didn't know what it was. I think that would be fun
Well-
just to take your family out and watch people with their dogs.
And what we
Right.
do with everything that was generated off of that, I don't know if you know, Fogas last year pretty much was the dog pound for almost a year.
Yeah.
We spent, I've heard different numbers, but a bunch of money, more than a dog catcher makes a year,
Yeah.
out of not only our pockets but sponsorships. And that's not what Fogas was designed for. It was designed for spaying and neutering and helping people
I think I took my dog
We never got
on
reimbursed
Saturday
on
to
that.
the Guthrie Pet Hospital for her checkup, and they told me that they homed 150 strays.
We're up
this
to
year.
200 now.
Wow. It's just
And
a lot.
sometimes it would be, there was one time it was 30 puppies people had dumped on back roads, and they were horrible. They were almost dead fleas.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's the sad side of that. Not all those make it either.
The other event to sort of put on the back burner, and I know Andrea was involved with it, What's that bike race that comes in with all the muds?
Yes.
The Landman 100.
Yes.
We're not getting that.
They're going through
alternate.
at Perkins next year.
Okay,
They go-
so
they go
they're
2 years,
not-
2 years in one
Yeah,
location,
2
and they
years.
move on.
Okay, so they're not, okay.
They'll
All right.
probably be back eventually at some point, because it's a
All
good
right.
location for a stop, but next year is in Perkins.
Okay.
But the only other thing about this past weekend, like, I think when things, like, events like the Updog deal, and as those become kind of like regular, like events that we know are going to be happening, like so, like this past weekend, it'd be great to be able to kind of like advertise like all the things that are happening on one day in Guthrie. So it's so much activity. You could show up to Guthrie and do all these things. So I think we're going to try to figure out how to do that throughout the year. Like if we have, like a particular day or a particular time, like, with October, there's all kinds of like Halloween themed things that happen throughout the month. So as a tourism department, trying to figure out maybe we create some kind of like an ad that talks about all the different Halloween stuff, or Christmas, Halloween,
Whatever events are going on those
yeah,
months,
just try to
things.
show like how much activity is happening in a condensed period of time.
I've
Yeah.
seen a trend where we'll have like all these separate groups end up picking the same day to do all, like this last
It's
Saturday
hard.
was one, and so it's like, what can we do? I know it's really hard because, they're not it's just how,
Yeah.
to the level that you can communicate with every small group in town and organization. But it would be nice if we could stagger them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, it's not up to us when they want to do it.
Right.
Here's the problem you get into, I know as a promoter, there are certain times that those buildings are open to you.
Yeah.
You've got to take them at that time or just do without.
And then some
That's
of
kind
it's
of-
planted around the football schedule.
Right,
They do.
and yeah, you're not getting me to do anything on a Friday.
But hopefully, if we can, like, maybe for next year, looking back at this past Saturday, so a year from Saturday, if those same things are happening, obviously for a community Guthrie size, that if there are 5 things happening in town on one day, it stretches the local residents pretty thin to go. But if we can put some kind of like advertising effort into it to bring in Edmond folks, Oklahoma City folks, maybe that can help those events to exist on the same day. If they can't like kind of spread themselves out more, we can try to bring more folks into them.
Yeah, if we could bring more in, they would filter from one to the other, even
Yeah.
if they didn't intend to do that in the beginning.
See, this weekend, the Lazy E, they did have the miniature bull riding. And I wasn't here, but it brought people here into town.
Miniature bull riding?
Yeah, kids.
Oh, that'd be cool.
People riding miniature bulls.
That's what I was
Kids riding.
We're both going, where do you get miniature bulls? I want one.
I thought they were miniature bulls. We got mini horses.
So a few meetings ago, we had talked about a new map, like a
Yes.
tear off kind of thing.
Yep.
Where are we at? Where are we at with that?
We're working on it. That's gonna be in the next, next fiscal year, starting October. It's gonna be, the brochures is gonna get it like redone to have like a different kind of map on the back. And I think that instead of trying to have on the on the inside of the brochure having like literally every single business in Guthrie on the tourism brochure, I think it'd probably be better to have just like restaurants, maybe restaurants, hotels, and kind of like tourist centric spots.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Indexed.
Yes, exactly. It's like a legend.
Well, I wonder if we could do like, number them, and so we get more on, and then on the back page, put like motels, restaurants, antique places, like that.
Yeah.
So then you
Well, if you
make
look
it
at,
bigger.
if you look at how Springfield does theirs, they number them on their map.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, for sure. And so maybe you'd have something like, the kind of thing, like on Edmund's map, I think, like the numbers of the restaurants are like a certain color, the numbers of the hotels are a different color, so you can kind of like easily kind of glance at it and see what, here's a restaurant, here's that kind of thing.
Do we put parks and stuff on that map? Are they marked out or?
On the map that exists now, I don't think, it's just like a little downtown square.
Yeah.
But I think the map can be a little bit more since we're looking at a larger size. So like, see if you open the brochure and fold it out, the back side can be like an entire map on the back side. So more space, but I think still kind of focus in on the downtown area. But we can still have like Liberty Lake, got like usually with an arrow saying just go that way, go hit the lake, or go that kind of stuff. But yeah, having like Highland, Mineral Wells, maybe it's just Banner has the splash pad now. Having maybe Banner over there, it's marked on the map for sure.
Speaking of Banner, someone said the other day, when you just go to Google and you type in Banner Park, it sends you to a different state
Yeah.
because it's still listed as Banner School. So I don't know who.
Still says Banner School on the corner too.
Yeah, I mean, they kept that sign, right? Like, they kept the Banner School sign, but, locals know where it is. It says non-locals when they're typing in Banner Park, they're not gonna know to search Banner School, they're not gonna understand why it's sending them to Texas,
I
like.
think it was built more as a local, but we're fixing to get one up here on this end of town also. And what's the name of that park?
Mineral Wells?
Mineral Wells.
Yeah, no,
That's supposed to be the next one.
yeah, the city has applied for a grant to do some stuff down at Mineral Wells. Yeah.
So are you asking if that's something that someone needs to
I just
update
didn't
with
know,
Google?
who.
I know I'm out of time.
Be in charge of it.
I know. Caitlin didn't get that memo.
What?
Yeah, she came in late.
You were like,
What was
Don't
it?
worry about it.
Oh.
They
What are
won't
you
be
talking
done.
about?
any other comments from the board? Any other? Rebecca, welcome. Anything you heard that you want on the October?
That all sounds good.
Okay.
Still want to do this?
It's just as interesting as the
Caitlin,
transportation.
we're not the rookies.
What? We're just as interested in
Jeremy,
transportation.
Wow. We
Wow.
got to talk about bump outs and
H-
town
H-
square.
Yeah.
I'm good.
There's nothing more exciting than sidewalks.
Connie,
As in rolling
anything?
them up at
No, I'm
the
good.
class.
We'll deal with that next time.
I think we are adjourned, folks.
All right.